Welcome to the Berlin Select Board. Today is December 16th. I think this is our last scheduled meeting for the year. So, for all those who celebrate, I looked at this on time, and we have St. Nicholas Day, Immaculate Conception Day, Bodhi Day, Feast Day of Lady of Guadalupe, Hanukkah, Yule, Christmas, Boxing Day, Kwanzaa, something that I can't pronounce that I don't want to insult, Festivus for the rest of us, and New Year's Eve. So, happy holidays, everyone.
Yay.
All right, calling the meeting to order at 6:32. Up first, our approval of 3 sets of minutes, September and 2 in November.
They looked fine to me.
Okay.
I'm not the sort of, typo person, but they looked fine to me.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to approve the 3 sets of minutes.
All right, and I will second that, and no further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next up, general public comment. You have a comment?
No.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. All right, no public comment, moving on. Hearings, we have public safety, but police is on vacation, fire is not here, and highway is not yet. So we will skip that until Fred shows, if he does. Moves us down to B, consideration of an application for a film permit submitted by NBC Oxygen to film at 1870 Town Hall.
And I'm going to turn it over to Dee. I believe we have someone here.
Oh, good.
That's what I
Now you have to come forward.
Now you
get
have
to
to
come on
forward.
down.
Yeah, you have to come forward so that anything you say is captured on the mics.
So while she's coming down, last week we did receive an application for a film permit for one-day filming December 19th, I believe,
Yes.
at the 1870 Town Hall. The application has been filled out. We've had some communications back and forth with, I believe, what the director or one of the producers. We are just hammering out. There's a couple of things on the agreement. We were going back and forth on the legal agreement. So should you vote this, I would just ask that it be conditional upon coming to terms on the legal agreement.
Could you tell us a little bit about it and why Berlin was chosen? And
Sure. So my name is Marcella, by the way. My husband is actually the director, producer as well. I'm one of the producers. His name's Justin Thompson. He was born and raised here in Berlin. We were in LA for 10 years. We just moved back to be with family because we had a baby in April.
welcome home.
Thank you. So Justin just is very passionate about filming in his hometown, and we saw the town hall, and it was exactly perfect for what we needed. This is a true crime show that is told from the perspective of the law enforcement, which Oxygen is, that's kind of their thing. So basically, we would be using the town hall to portray the police bullpen, which I know it used to be police bullpen, which is really cool, and like an attorney's office, things like that. So that's kind of what we would be doing there. We're about total, I believe, 27. That's cast and crew. Majority filming inside. I think we have a couple scenes outside, but we're not blocking any streets or roads or anything like that. It would be a very small footprint outside. But yeah, we just love the building and the town, and we're really happy to be
Great.
here.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Daytime shooting?
Yes, well, we would start around, I believe, 7 a.m. That's our call time as of right now. And then we would film until we'd be done and out by 7 p.m.,
Yeah.
basically.
But not overnight?
No.
Right.
Awesome.
I have an 8-month-old to get
Yeah,
home
yeah.
to, so no overnights for me.
If I read the application correctly, it's going to involve taking up some of the street parking during the
Yes.
day. But
Yes.
I think that's fine. I mean, everything I saw, I was happy with. Departments have no negative feedback that I saw.
The only feedback from the fire department is that they needed a special permit and they needed some inspections. That's already been worked out, and they have a meeting set up.
I also have the fee for that
Okay.
to actually give to you. John Polino told me to give it to
If you
you.
give that to me, I will give it
Yes.
to you.
Perfect.
I don't have that. I'm excited about using it. I'm excited about showing off the town. I'm in favor of it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you're gonna have to handcuff somebody, because when you go in the police room, there's a little bar right there, and that's where they used to,
Oh, really?
yep,
Okay.
that's where they used to handcuff people.
It's honestly, and if you
No,
wanted
I'm
to
not
come
jerking
by-
from personal experience. I can see you
volunteering.
two in the back. Stop.
If anyone would like to come by and see what we do, we are totally open to that. We don't record any sound, so everyone can go about their business and walk around and ask questions. And
That's really cool.
so if anyone wants to come see the set, that's also, we're open to that. We've had that. We did that in Stowe. We had a couple
Yeah.
students come and visit our set and hang out for
That's
the
so
day.
cool. And that's this week, this Thursday?
Friday.
Friday.
Right.
So cool.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm excited to get Little Berlin
Yeah.
on the map.
The building is amazing.
Yeah,
Like
it's
a
I'm,
cool
I'm just
building.
like I can't believe other people haven't found it. It's
Yeah.
perfect. So
All right. Well, would you like to make a motion there,
I would
Mr.
make a motion
Hawkins?
to approve the application for a film permit for, as outlined, or as put together in our folder, or whatever the right way of saying it is.
With some conditional stuff to be
Yeah,
done
right.
later. Okay.
Right, the little things, assuming the last little pieces are worked out between town staff
The agreement, yeah.
and the company.
Absolutely. I will second that. Lots of discussion. Again, thank you to you and your
Yeah.
husband. As I said, welcome
Thank
home. All those in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
you can see we're a really tough crowd.
I was
Yep,
kidding.
yep.
Yay!
I'm the crowd now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Uh,
And may
you
I
would-
pass
Yeah,
the?
yeah.
Could you do me a favor at your leisure? So
Yes.
what I'm trying to do is like find little nice stories about Berlin. Like I
Yeah.
have them outside of Dee's office.
Yeah.
So things like our dog has done, or we've gotten donations to rebuild bridges and stuff. Could you put like a little write-up telling about your story and your desire to come back and why
Oh,
Berlin's,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
and then we'll get it out to the item and just have a
Yeah.
little bit more publicity so that when it's
Yeah.
ready to come out, we could
Yeah.
have a showing. We could have a showing upstairs.
Pretty cool.
Is it March or May that it might be
It,
on?
it will be, so the first episode will air in February.
Okay.
So this one would be closer to March or May, yes.
Oh, psych. Okay.
Very cool.
Awesome.
It's a really neat opportunity.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
thank you. Right.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much, appreciate it. Have a great night. Happy holidays.
Thank you, you too.
All right, Kristen, you're up.
Okay, town administrator report, which I just updated, and I was missing a decimal point. We would love perhaps to do a 145% shift, but I don't think that the Department of Revenue would like that so much. So it is a 1.45% shift. We are working on our budget submittals. I've received, I think, the most of them. June has gone through, and I've started building the budget, which is exciting. As you know, we had our tax classification hearing, and the financial team worked really, really hard to get the recap sheet submitted to the DOR, and I'm pleased to report it was approved on Friday, the 13th. So I now think that's a lucky day. We are now finalizing the tax bills, which should go out within the next couple of weeks. Once I have a specific exact date, we will let you know, and we will publicize that as well. The Finance Committee met with the Berlin-Boylston Regional School District and Assabet on Wednesday, December 11th. Both districts presented some preliminary budget information. Assabet is anticipating an approximately $67,000 increase for FY26 due to 7 new Berlin students. This is due in part to the fact that they're decreasing out-of-district or not taking in more out-of-district students and increasing the capacity for in-district students. But they did mention that by FY28, that will level out in the budget, so we won't be seeing as high of increases after that time. The Berlin-Boylston Regional School District is anticipating a $1.7 million operating increase, and they also discussed $3 million in capital requests for FY26. I do have to say their presentation was excellent, and they provided some great information. However, unless the numbers do decrease significantly between now and then, we're looking at the town voting on an override and debt exclusion likely at May town meeting to fund these requests, as they both exceed what we're going to be able to fund, including our excess levy and our free cash. So both districts will be coming back before the FinCom in February with more final numbers. And those FinCom meetings will resume again in January. 7:30 p.m. on Wednesdays, pretty much every Wednesday between
Sixth.
January
Eighth.
8th, thank you, we're not doing it the day after New Year's, and March. So more information is available on MyTownGov if you want to connect up and come on in live or watch on YouTube, or hopefully we'll have hybrid back up and running by then. The Capital Planning Committee also met with Library and Police to discuss their requests on December 5th, and the Berlin-Boylston District will present their requests on December 19th. That's going to be at 7 p.m. here. Pleased to report that winter special town meeting was held on December 9th, and all 12 articles did pass. Also, we will be sending out reminders that the 2024 annual town reports are going to be due to our office by January 31st. Those reports are to be submitted electronically to townreports@townofberlin.com in case any of you early birds would like to put your reports in. And believe it or not, we're already thinking about May. The select board will be asked to open the warrant for the May annual town meeting at their next meeting in January. So we are trucking along. Speaking of things moving along, the Assabet project continues to move along very well. They're finishing up the temporary staircase and scaffolding necessary to move materials in and out of the second floor. They will begin working on the interior of the building after the holidays, and I've completed the material procurement utilizing vendors on the state bid list and working closely with Rain Coulson at Assabet to make sure we follow all proper procedures there. Also happy to report I am done taking my courses to renew my certification for Chief Procurement Officer for the town. So that will renew as it was expiring the end of January. We're able to get that done. Met with Recreation to discuss various projects and programs that are going on. Also met with the Board of Health Chair to discuss the FY26 budget and some compliance reporting at the landfill, which they will be coming back. Paul McKelk will be coming back in January before the Select Board to have a further conversation about happenings over at the landfill. Also, 1870 Committee is on the agenda tonight. Met with them several times regarding missions, you know, kind of how they're operating and building upgrades and repairs. We had our December department head meeting. I have met one-on-one twice now with the new COA director. Believe it or not, she's been here a month to discuss observations and work on an overall strategy for the department. Also working with VHB, the engineering firm, on the construction grant portion of the South Street Bridge. Had to wait till the design was complete in order to do that, and we are very, very close to having state sign-off there. And attended an ARPA webinar that they gave us less than 24 hours notice to attend, which made everybody very, very nervous. However, we are in compliance. Everything we are doing is proper. And I did also run those agreements through legal counsel to make sure we were covered, because that's a lot of money that I don't want to risk us losing. And then finally, I know there's been a lot of talk about accessory dwelling units, and there's been a lot of information around, so I've been kind of tracking it here and there when I can. Those requirements go into effect in February. However, they're not saying we should update our bylaws necessarily by then, because the legislation will just supersede anything that conflicts in the town's bylaws. But the planning board is already on it. They're working with Central Mass Regional Planning Commission in general to update the town's bylaws and to ensure that we will be in compliance with state regulations. And I expect to see some articles at Maytown meeting that address this and other conflicts that are in our zoning bylaws to bring everything into compliance with the state. So a lot going on.
Any questions?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Me. The 1.7 million for Berlin-Boylston Regional School District, is that for both towns or just Berlin?
Just Berlin.
Just Berlin at 1.7?
Yes.
And if I'll do the math later on, like what percentage that is over their current?
Over what we did in FY25,
Yeah.
I did not do the math,
That's
but I
fine.
can.
I'll do the math in a little bit. I don't think we ever should apologize for students going to Assabet. I think, adding more students to Assabet is a great thing. I think that encouraging students to get into trades and other stuff is great stuff. And in theory, sometimes more students going to Assabet means fewer students at Berlin-Boylston, which changes the ratio there, that the money sort of comes out as a wash a little bit. How long is your procurement certificate good for?
It's good for 3 years.
Okay. And then the accessory dwelling units, I was hoping at one point that we'd try to do a joint meeting between planning, housing trust, and select board, just to like talk out all of our feelings and make sure that we're all sort of on the same page. I'd hate to have planning put a lot of effort in, especially with CMRPC, and discover like the select board and housing trust is just on a totally different page
Okay.
on where we should be going as a town. I think they're the right group to actually come up with the bylaws. They're probably the ones that probably are more, have the most detailed opinions, but I just, I'm already being stopped and asked about it several times. I know you and Chris have as well. I think if we just all were on the same page about what we're thinking, shared what we're hearing from the various folks, I think it might not even just be a select board meeting. I think it might just be a special meeting night, sort of coffee talk-ish, you know, where we, I don't think the public is talking sort of tons, but inviting people in the room to be here and online to watch it happen.
Is that something the board would direct me to try to set up, or to just reach out to the various groups and try to work on a meeting?
You good? with
Yes,
that?
I am good with
Yep.
that.
Okay.
Yes, I think that'd be a formal request.
Maybe sometime in January then?
Yeah,
Because capital, planning meets what, Thursday nights?
Tuesdays, I believe, and
Right.
Concom's Wednesdays.
Concom's Wednesday.
right.
Zoning
Okay.
might be Thursdays, but they don't, I'm trying to,
I don't know. We just
Yeah.
may have to play.
Yeah, or we might have to
'Cause I
take one of
think
our
you're-
off one Mondays or.
And there, like, I know that, you know, conservation has an off week, I think planning has an off week, so
Right.
we just may have
Yeah.
to play,
Yep.
throw a dart at the calendar
Yeah.
and see what day works, day and time.
do you see it being Planning Board, Housing Trust, and ZBA? Am I missing anyone?
No, I think
Critical?
those days, ZBA was the one I was missing in my list. Yes, ZBA.
Do we need conservation for anything?
No, because this is more housing, because
It's really bylaw.
Right,
driven.
it's not affecting the conservation land that's available or
Okay.
land that would be available. Just increases the density, and I'm hoping that even though this would allow someone to build an accessory dwelling unit on conservation land or wetlands now, because that stuff, the construction of that's already sort of
Yeah,
not allowed.
restricted, right. Okay.
For Paul, I I think on the 20th, I just plopped in a placeholder before the agenda started to get too full.
I can reach out to him
And
and
see if that
confirm.
works. Yeah, because I know we have a couple meetings on the 6th, so, or a couple appointments on the 6th.
Okay.
Just a little comment, I was at the meeting, the FinCom, where the school committees presented. I was pleased that Berlin Boylston came in with an actual presentation. And I was looking in my bag, I thought I had it with me. But yeah, I was a little taken aback about numbers. And I know that it's just preliminary, I know it's shooting for the moon right now and see what falls out. You know, but hoping that they take into account the past 2 years and what has happened. I hope they take into account, you know, various comments of, hey, we didn't get it last year, so we're just gonna throw it in on this year, type of thing. And that hopefully, once the numbers come out, we can get a much better audience. Unfortunately, there were only 3 people that were physically here in the room and only 3 people up on video, not counting Kristen, so hopefully more will come. But we'll see what happens with that. Coolio. All right. Boom chakalaka, moving on. Thank you. Old business, anything to discuss or vote on any ARPA stuff? You're shaking your head, yes.
There's one quick item. If you pull up the spreadsheet, one thing that I did look at was the voting machine and poll pad item actually did still have some funding left in it after those invoices were paid. So what I did per our or your direction before was to put it into Project 23, the Implement Facilities Study, years 0 through 3. So that would change that dollar amount to $21,523.15. And so what I did was I did put an updated agreement in the folder, but I would like to ask for a formal vote on that.
So moved.
Seconded. Any other discussion?
No, but I found the fiscal year on that issue, so finish that one. Yes.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to move the money into Project 23, implement facility study years 0 through 3. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Using very quick math, the schools last year were about $8 million. 1.7 increase would put it to 9.7. That would be about a 21% increase.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and my 8 million actually included capital, and so if you add 3 on top of that, then you're looking at probably a 50% increase.
But don't forget with capital too, when they go before, they're only gonna get, what, 30% of,
Again,
Yeah.
if she was saying this is Berlin numbers, not.
oh, yep.
Yeah, so the 3
But
million.
again, you start high.
Yeah, the 3 million and the 1.7 were Berlin numbers, from what I understood. And we will likely have around 2 million in free cash. So, and our policy is, not, it's a policy, but
Right.
is to use around 30% for capital.
Okay.
And
Yep.
that's all capital, not school capital.
Correct.
So that's like, fire trucks and roof repairs and the physical study that we have done of facilities. Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, more to come, stay tuned. Question on that before we move on. I know that they handed out, they being Assabet and Berlin Boylston, handed out hard copies. Is it worth it to get soft copies and publish them so that folks in town can look through and maybe come back with some questions?
Sure.
At your leisure. It's not a high critical on fire, so,
I was planning on it because we talked about trying to build like a budget
Mhm.
website, and I thought those would be great first couple of items to put on there. So we'll follow up and see where the consulting firm is with building that page, and we can get those items up there.
okay. All right, onward. Continued discussion of the facilities review, space needs, review of materials. I'll wait till Kristen stops writing. But again, thank you to the town for allowing us to move roof money from old fire station to demolition costs.
Perfect. So, good news on the Brown Barn. That contract, as you saw in your spreadsheet, after we put it out to bid, did come in about $10,000 less than we thought, so we were able to repurpose those funds previously. We do have the fully executed contract back from the contractor, and once I am able to set up a start date with them, I will let y'all know. They literally hand-delivered the contract on Wednesday, so.
Does Brown Barn fall under 6-month wait period for historical?
I don't
But-
believe it meets the definition, but I will,
I believe
Talk
any
to
building
them.
that's more than 50 years old meets their definition.
Oh,
They have
oh,
to
oh.
be asked.
got it.
They can choose whether or not to put a 6-month hold on
Correct.
it or not.
Right. And it also needs to be in writing of the historical significance, and I think why they're holding it too, so.
Right.
Yep.
So I know how that starts is once the contractor pulls the permit, it
Right.
begins that
Okay.
process. So they weren't able to give us an
And-
answer or vote on it
Right.
before.
Which is, I think, the stupidest thing, until you actually start your project.
Yeah.
We can't tell you whether or not it's okay to start your project.
And what will happen is if they do put a 6-month demolition delay waiver, you can bet that there will have to be a change order for that contract to go
Right.
up
Yep.
because
Yep.
prices are going to go
Yeah.
up. So
Mhm.
we'll have to figure that out if we get to that point.
But yeah, I would probably hone in on it needs to be in writing the significant history, history significance to
Right.
the town, not,
Yeah.
we're holding it just because we want to hold
I
the Brown
mean,
building.
this is not a surprise to them. I've had
Right.
informal conversations with them individually. They've not specifically, of course, had conversations at their meetings because there was nothing to vote on. There was no agenda item. But I would love at some point to just look into those type of rules because I think it is, again, really silly that you can't tell me if it's okay to start my project until I start my project. And that is true for any demo that happens anywhere else in town. It's going to
Yeah.
be true for the 2 other
Mhm.
buildings we're on.
Mhm.
It is just, if you're looking at things government is doing to make life difficult on folks,
We found too. Yeah, because that rolls right into.
and it's not their fault, it's what our rules say.
Correct. Well, good evening. We'll finish up one item and then we'll circle back to you. Or we stop and we let Fred come in and then we can send him on his way. Want to stop and let Fred come in?
Yeah, I think, I mean,
No,
yeah, Yeah, come and talk, because we just talked about the Brown Barn, and we can pull in Fred and then go back to other buildings.
Thank you for sanding today.
Oh, yeah, that was supposed to come in at 4 o'clock this morning, by the way.
Yeah.
It waited till about 8:30 when everyone was on the road, and I heard the windows ping, 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 ping. Yeah.
It's fantastic. And then it warmed up like 2 hours later.
Yep.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Welcome to the winning.
All right, Mr. Fred, the floor is yours. We were going to have, all of public safety, but
I know, I was so upset to find out my
you are
comrades
all
couldn't be
alone.
here.
Mhm. So you get the brunt of the Spanish Inquisition.
Hey, that's what I'm here for.
And thank you for Rudolph. I see that he's finally up.
Yeah. Well, I got some more work to do, but it was crunch time, so I didn't get to finish everything.
Okay.
It'll be improved next year. So a lot of little stuff this year. We finished up our leaf cleanup, got all the mowers serviced. We're finishing up the tree assessment so we can try and get that list done, get that hearing put out. The sinkhole that was up in the garden area, the center of town, I don't know if anyone ever saw the cone that was sitting up there.
Mhm.
It was undetermined as to what it was, and I think it was in part because while we were digging it up, the pipe got hit. So we couldn't tell if there was a hole in the pipe or a joint had separated. So it was kind of undetermined, so that's still on the radar to keep an eye on it. We were able to finally get some crack sealing done on Derby Road, Barnes Hill Road. It's a very expensive thing, but it actually, it's a good preventative maintenance to keep the road from falling apart. I'd like to actually put that into the budget at some point, so we can continue to get the roads sealed up. Once the main stuff is done, we do have a machine,
Mhm.
but we don't have the manpower, and the machine is smaller scale, that we can maintain it, we can keep up with areas. But that machine hasn't been out in, I bet you, 5 years. And that was paid for with the funds from the RAP. Remember when we got the winter recovery assistance? So that's where some of the funds came from that. That was just over $10,000. It was 11, I just got the invoice. So $11,000 to do 2 roads. And they were in worse shape than what I thought, because when I drove it and I walked it, they were like hit and miss. But when they came through, I was like, holy crap, like they did everything. So it was good. Yeah, we haven't been out in about a week with the big mower, only because, the storms that have come through and things like that. But we have gotten some done. And that's gonna need a seal in the pump soon anyway, so we don't wanna beat on that too bad. And the equipment breakdowns, obviously was the leaf collector machine, that I think I briefly touched on earlier. We just got that back from the repair shop, just as they explored it to see what it would cost to fix it. And they went through and they flushed the system, changed all the filters and everything, and it still doesn't move. It like shudders. So I requested Jim today to reach out to him again to see if we can break down all the inside of the transmission. Being hydrostatic, I've never opened one, so I don't know if it's like a clutch system, wet clutch, that we can rebuild ourselves, or if they have to do it, or to purchase a new one, which is like $12,000.
Wow.
And the machine is between 10 and 12 years old, so we're waiting kind of to see where that's going to sit. But that was our major breakdown. As for the South Street Bridge, the construction phase grant is open now, December.
Yep.
VHB was going to put in for it because they basically going to take the majority of their stuff and just kind of like transfer it over into that one. I don't know if they were ever able to extend our phase 1 grant by 90 days or something. I never heard if Olivia could or not, but she was going to put in for it, I thought.
Yeah,
Or if we
I know
had
she
to.
had put in. I don't think she had heard back the last follow-up that I received from her. Let me The last correspondence I had with her was that they were still reconciling back and forth with the comments on the design documents with Mass DOT. So that was about 2 weeks ago. So let me get a more updated, a better update from her, a more recent update.
I was actually shocked when I saw that the Phase 2 opened up, because I thought that was a June date. But when it came through, I was like, okay. So then, here at the Public Safety Building, on, I believe it was a Saturday, maybe, or a Sunday, there was a squirrel that got tangled up in the power lines out front, popped the phase to the building. And by doing so, it caused several of the computers to stop working. There's no battery backup on the heat computer in the basement, so the heat went down. And in the meantime, there was a relay that ran the 3 furnaces that fried. So that's why there was no heat for like 2 days. The electricians had to come in, follow wires, chase it, and it ended up being a relay, an expensive relay. So that's what that was about. I think I mentioned before about the generator out on the side of the building had its load test. That was something I was never aware of until they reached out to me and says, you know, you should be doing this. So it was supposed to be a 4-hour load test at maximum RPM. It failed about halfway through. It overheated. So they believe it's a water pump. So they were supposed to be doing up an estimate to replace the water pump and then to retest the system. So we know it still fires up, still power the building, but whether or not we have a long incident, that may be questionable. So I'm just waiting for that to come in. The fire apparatus door, that's door number 1. It was one night I happened to be working over there in the bottom right-hand corner where the cables mount to for the tensioner spring, rotted, came right out of the door. So the door was thrown off. The company came out, got it to where we could close it. It's not usable. We ended up ordering a new one, and we just got on the schedule for, I believe it was January 6th. I sent the info to the fire chief. The parts haven't come in yet, but we at least got the schedule going to get that done. Which is really kind of a bummer, because that wasn't one of the doors that we were going to replace if the capital went through. Our intra-department stuff, the usual things we do for the transfer station with the containers. And the police department needed assistance putting a granite post back together that had a little incident one night. So that got repaired. I didn't hear any feedback from the property owner. I'm assuming everything turned out okay. And that's about all we have. Your snow and ice, I mean, it's here. So.
I know my computer down the bottom is saying snow Friday, snow Friday. Must have known you walked in the room.
Well, that's because the winter solstice bonfire is over at the Fruitlands. I think it's the Fruitlands.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Yeah.
And then one other thing was the sanitary survey issues. I believe now they are all complete. The last thing we had to do was actually tie the water meter into the entire building, so the fire suppression system never ran through the water meter. So they wanted that done. We did that, and then they wanted the water meter changed. So we did the water meter swap. So that should be
And this
everything.
is, who is the they?
DEP. So they do that survey every 5 years.
Right.
The library was done early last year.
Just like, why does the Department of Education care
Oh.
what a water meter is?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because they want to make sure that we're in compliance with
gallons
All the
per
with the
day.
rules that
state.
cost all the money. and
yeah,
Everything gets so complicated all the time. Like, if you didn't make that change and there was a fire, the fire suppression system would still work, right?
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
And a water meter helps you pay for the water, but we don't have a municipal water supply.
Right.
So
Correct.
why is a meter even needed in the first place?
Well, they keep track of the usage. So every time our water's tested, they
Right.
record the water and they submit it with all the paperwork. Because we're only allowed 1,000 gallons or something like that per week, per month.
It's just like
Oh, 'cause
rules
there's-
that make life more expensive for
Yeah.
everybody. When people ask why our taxes are high, it's because the state is requiring us to have a water meter on a school that doesn't have a water bill
Exactly.
because they have a well.
Yeah.
Well, and DEP sets the capacity that those wells can draw per day, so that may be part of what they're checking on too.
Yeah, because they actually recorded the wrong number one time, submitted it, and we got a letter back saying that you're not in compliance for what you're allowed. And then they finally recorrected it and said, no, we were wrong. We were off by like 10,000 gallons.
Right.
So,
So like our wells, they say can pull 9,900 gallons, the ones that
Right.
up on parcel 6, but there's 2 of them. So there was a question, can they both run simultaneously? They
Right.
have to be more than 50 feet apart.
Right.
So they appear to be 53 feet apart, but we have to go through the re-permitting process to confirm if they can both work at the same time. But 10,000 gallons is a good amount, so either way we're
Right.
fine. But yeah, they're pretty rigid about how much you can draw from those wells.
oh, yeah. But yeah, that's highway in the handbag.
Yep.
Questions? Any more? You good?
I'm good.
Good.
What?
I think we're good.
Nothing?
It
Yeah.
is my holiday present to you, Fred. And if Eric and Fire Mike were here, they would have received the same thing, but now since they're gonna be on the agenda for January,
Yeah.
too bad. They have to wait.
The highway grant is a December thing?
The what?
The grant for the bridge, sorry, is a December grant period, correct?
It
Yes.
just opened.
It's just opened.
And VHB is writing it for us.
I just, if it's okay, once it is submitted, if you would just email us to let us
Yeah.
know it was submitted. I think that is a big enough thing. I think it's even worthy of posting on town sort of announcements that we've actually submitted the grant, because that's just another step closer to actually getting
Yes.
that bridge done. Is actually the grant for the bridge repair has actually been submitted at this point.
Yeah, and I believe she'll have to send us it because we have to sign off on the
Yep,
grant
yeah,
as well.
yeah.
Yeah,
So, yeah, hopefully, maybe
will
springtime,
do.
maybe.
Do we have a ribbon cutting?
I said, once we get the grant, I think it is, I think it's both a ribbon cutting, but I think it is worthy of a conversation closer to bridge opening.
Right.
Like, what's the first vehicle that gets to go across the bridge?
Oh, a lottery.
Lottery, but like, school buses to suddenly be able to like cut time off the school routes, or is
Post
it a
office
police
truck.
cruiser, or a post
Yeah.
office truck, or a fire truck, or.
Or just a really cool old car.
Or a town raffle that the money goes towards like some, I don't want to name it, but a good cause in town that we're allowed to give money to as a raffle as the first car to go across, It goes to the energy efficiency programs in the town or town buildings or. I mean, we
That'd
could
be a
have
cool thing, a
I know
fun thing.
it's a tiny bridge, it doesn't have any sort of, but, that road's been closed for a bit and it,
Yeah.
And I
well,
will
People
need to
have
be
to do it.
retrained coming down Jones Road, because now I don't even look to the left when I go
Yeah,
across to the
Well,
dump.
We'll end up putting a stop sign up,
yeah,
because someone asked me about that the other day at the store,
yeah.
so.
There's a stop sign in the other direction, but it's,
There's not one coming down the
I
hill.
know, yeah.
And just one quick thing I can put out, if anyone gets any questions. So the intersection down there at Marlboro Chapin, River Road,
Mhm.
where there's been so many accidents,
Mm.
we talked about going a four-way stop sign. We did a speed thing down there and submitted to the state. They broke it all down to actual like crash angles and
Right.
things like that. They recommended that it would be a candidate for a four-way stop or all-way stop.
Right.
We just got something, an email that in January, that we're gonna be holding a meeting for that, and the state's willing to supply all the signage, with the exception of road markings.
Nice.
So hopefully that goes through. Whether or not we keep that turn lane off at Chapin going towards Hudson, or the intersection comes out in a T.
Mhm.
So I just gotta meet with the gentleman from Hudson and see what we can come
Nice.
up with.
That's definitely something we'd have to publish, because people are gonna come upon it and not realize it. and-
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
So you
we'll
put
have
blinky signs saying,
new
new
traffic.
You stop ahead.
traffic pattern ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll end up borrowing a couple other ones
Yeah.
and set them
Yeah.
out, but yeah. And then I'll check with someone about getting an extra street light put up down there to light up the intersection, as part of it,
Mhm.
so.
Question for you through the chair, if I may, really quickly before you go.
Sure.
So we now have the money appropriated to demo the old fire station and the rescue building. But it is going to be right around, between the 10 and 50. So I have to get the 3 quotes and advertise it. So what I need is a scope of work. And I'm wondering, what we got was a quote from Tyler, but it wasn't super specific. I can try to work on that, but I didn't know if you knew anybody that might be able to write up a more specific scope.
Yeah, I can
I mean,
reach out
it's kind of
to-
hard, but
Building bad, need to come down.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
gonna say, see
I know.
See picture of building, make go away.
Yeah. I can reach out to Larry Crosman, because I know he's
Okay.
done demolition before.
yeah, because I know when we did it for the Brown Barn, we got a lot of questions that came, and I know you had had to meet with a lot of people, and I'm trying to avoid that by if we can get it more specific up front, then we avoid that back end Q&A.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind, that would be
Yes,
awesome.
no problem at all. I can give him a shout tomorrow.
Awesome, thank you. And then I can put those docs together.
And we have the if they need them, the write-ups are online at townofberlin.com for the facility study if he needs to reference anything about the deplorable conditions of either building.
Okay. Yep, and actually, we're gonna be helping June and Barry move out bigger items. Trying to set it up for this
Oh,
Thursday
nice.
to help them out. They have space, another Connex or something down there at Village Power.
Okay.
So,
Well, yeah, now that the Hearst house is out, that
Yeah.
probably frees up a little bit of space.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's still private land space and
I
the
know.
benefits of, but yes.
yeah.
So then
Sadly,
will that be-
much of the stuff up there, Ross and I carried up there, so, with Barry and
Oh.
a few others, because that's where it was, when it was, I forget where it came from to go up there next, but.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but they've
So-
been picking away at a lot of stuff on their own.
So then that will clear everything out, right? Boy Scouts are out, Lions stuff
I
is
haven't been
out.
up there in a little while.
Okay.
But yeah, we still have 2 map tables up there that we'll get out at the same time where they're moving their stuff out, providing it's not raining. But yeah, so
Awesome.
it's eventually getting cleaned out.
Cool.
Good.
Because I can guarantee, or I shouldn't say this, but I can almost guarantee that there will be a demolition delay on both of those buildings.
The one for the Brown building, that's been awarded, right?
Yes, and we have a contract with Action Environmental, and he just returned the signed contract Wednesday. So I just have to countersign it and then get scheduling time for him to come out and do it.
Okay.
So we're in pretty good shape.
And have we decided what we're doing with the contents inside the white building next to it? That's the stage that a resident built and bleachers for displaying pumpkins.
Oh, that's right, I forgot about that.
The white building wasn't coming down, I thought.
No, it's a storage
Yeah.
Connex type thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
We're gonna
Metal
move that to the
canister.
highway garage.
gotcha.
Um,
So is that recreations items that are in there? Or who's
Well, the
who's stuff?
pumpkin thing was built for,
It was built for like Old Home Day.
yeah,
So no, it wasn't a rec thing, it was a donation by a private resident
yeah.
to build it and put it up there.
Oh,
And the stage for
Yeah, the
pie,
stage
the pie
was,
eating contest and,
But it wasn't the
that I
stage
think
time.
originally was for COVID, I think, because, or maybe even before that.
I don't know.
so we'll have to figure that out. So the items in the white storage container. Can you get me a list of what's in there? And
That's pretty much.
is that it? It's the
Yeah, those
stage and
two.
the,
Well, that and the speed bump for the school, but I mean,
okay.
that's nothing to move around. Yeah. Yeah, so, once we have a date for that, we just have to disconnect the power wire in the back that goes to the pond.
Yep.
Pull the roller out, and they can have the building.
I'm going to, once I get the contract signed and back to him and I confirm that it has everything that's supposed to be in there, his insurance and everything, I'm going to connect him right up with you.
Okay. Perfect.
Awesome.
Good.
All right.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Fred.
It's a pleasure coming
Thank
in.
you.
Nice to see you.
Yeah. I'm sure I won't see you before the holidays, so.
Well, if
Happy
there's snow,
holidays.
that's right, you don't go up my road because otherwise I just go out and wave, yeah.
I went by the other day, picking up brush. I saw you.
You know what, and I gotta tell you, the drainage on Lyman, perfect.
It worked this time.
Yes, it did.
Well, I'm
Absolutely
sure
wonderful.
We had a whole bunch of rain. so-
Yes, we do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good, so.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. What we're here for.
All right.
We sort of touched on.
I know, we
Did-
kind
did
of
we?
sort of touched on process to demolish, building and building.
Yes, I was sort of moving into that, because once I have that scope, I can put it out,
Okay.
and then there will likely be that demolition delay. So what I did for the Brown Barn was, right in the documents, I said, is subject to review by the Historical Commission with potential 6-month demolition delay. So that, that's right up there, up front for the contractors that are quoting on it.
Is there any way that we can talk to them ahead of time?
I tried with the Brown Barn.
Yeah, you can sort of individually to feel them out, but
Yep.
they
Not
won't
as a
put it,
committee.
they won't put it on an agenda until
Okay.
there's something to actually discuss and vote on.
Correct.
And then, obviously, if you're talking to them one-on-one, the opinion there might or might not be, when they get together, they could,
Yep. Okay.
go one direction or another on things.
All right, well,
Exactly.
okay, so we'll see. All right, just keep us up to date on the process. I'm sure there'll be abutter notices and road closures and support from highway, police,
Yeah, when we go to
Blah, blah,
demo
blah.
those 2 buildings, yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so, review of the remaining buildings. Are there any other, like, low-hanging fruit that we could?
No, I'd like, actually, Chris, the 3 of us to be here when we did
Okay.
others. I was ready to, I thought we had other messier buildings that included, for me, the old highway barn.
Yep.
The Bullet House in 1870,
Yep.
and the library.
Mm. Okay.
I would hit one of them at a time each.
Yeah, because you gotta figure the structure's down at South Common.
Right.
We don't need to do anything with them, wouldn't think. I mean, because there are two
Wait.
snack shacks, 3 snack shacks.
Oh, yeah, those little tiny things, yeah.
And then the 2 in the back, like
Yeah,
the way back,
right.
where you pick up your sand.
So,
Yeah.
Old Highway, Bullard, 1870, and Library, and do them one at a time?
Yeah.
Does that work?
I think
for both
only
of
one
you?
at a time allows us to stay focused.
Yeah, because it'll come up with, we need storage. Well, then we're gonna have to figure out who is they, and how much do they need, and blah, blah, blah. Significance to the town.
Yep.
Just can't say, I need storage. So,
Well,
okay.
and at the end of the day, what we need storage for
Mhm.
is really a select board decision.
Mhm.
We store things that we either have a policy to store. I don't know I'm sure there's some legal stuff we have to store, but the legal stuff we have to store is relatively tiny, like accounting files, other stuff. We don't need
Documents.
7
Correct.
buildings of those things, and some of those could be digitized if we
Yep.
really wanted to.
Well, I mean,
and
and-
so-
and I'm happy
but
to,
This is where we find,
Yeah.
that we have stages and
Yeah.
pumpkin holding things and
Totally forgot about
map
those.
tables and
Yeah.
I mean that we harp upon historical a lot because they have things that we see a lot because they do a lot of things, but
Mhm.
there's a lot of things being stored in a lot of places that we might not need.
yeah, I mean, and we can talk about a process too. I mean, I'm happy to go on the committee tour and just go to each one and be like, so, do you have any things you need stored? What are they? How big are they? So that, I think that
Right.
would take care of the they need storage question and what needs stored.
And as we point out, even for the old fire station rescue building, that, let's say we have legitimate storing needs that everyone needs, that it still might be that some town buildings come down because the cost of maintaining those buildings is so more than building something that is designed specifically for storage.
Okay. All right, I will move review of remaining buildings
Yep.
to January 6th.
Yep.
All right. Buildings. All right, next up, wandering into new business is consideration of the appointment of John Barrett to the Council on Aging.
They took a motion at their last meeting
Yep.
and asked if the select board would consider their recommendation for appointment.
I know John, I can't think of anyone better. I think he'd bring a lot of great energy. He's done a lot of stuff himself. I would move that we approve John Barrett to the Council of Aging.
All right, I'll second it. Any other comments? All right, all those in favor?
Aye?
Aye. Thank you, John. Appreciate your volunteerism. Look forward to your input. Next up is a notice of intent to conditionally appoint Brendan Judge as a full-time police officer.
Yes, so I am respectfully notifying the board and requesting your approval of this conditional appointment of the 10th full-time police officer. He does need to attend the academy, and this would be Brenda Judge, and he would be taking the place of Detective Trongone, who has moved on.
I would move that we approve the conditional appointment of Brendan Judge as a full-time officer.
And I will second that. No other real need for discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Brendan. Appreciate your service to the town. Thank you, Chief Shartner and others responsible for finding him. All right, next up is discussion vote on select board representative for BBRSD teacher negotiations. I think there's a meeting this week.
Yes, so I received a call from Superintendent Ganem, who noted that it is time for negotiations again. And apparently each time the town gets a representative to sit on that negotiating panel. Last time Boylston had a representative, so it is Berlin's turn. I was thinking it could be Select Board or FinCom, depending on how you wanted to go. I would sort of bow myself out of that just because there's going to be daytime meetings and there's so much going on already with budget season. I'm not sure that that makes the most sense for me. But if there are folks that have availability during the day and would be interested in doing that, I think this would fit better.
I mean, historically, Chris has wanted to do those things, and I see no reason to not. I mean, she's not here to say if she's willing or not, but I would defer to her if she is interested. I'd be fine with her doing it.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Unfortunately, I don't have the ability to sneak out all the time and attend meetings
Yeah.
that could drone on for hours.
Right, and daytimes are hard for me as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I can reach out to her if that works. Would you, the superintendent did ask that the board take a vote.
I would do it. My hesitation is, of course, Chris is not here to accept, so I will do a condition on her being okay with being the
Sure.
appointment. I would move to have Chris be the representative.
And I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And if she can't, Kristen, then we'll have to maybe talk to FinCom for anybody who might have
Right.
Yep.
potential opportunities.
And I'll have to reach back out to Al, because I got the impression that they were, why did I think it was like an internal meeting for them to figure out what they were doing on the school side this week? It wasn't clear to me if they expected someone to be there from the town this week, or if they were just getting their ducks in a row on their end, so.
Yeah, I don't know. When he was here last week, he mentioned that he was gonna reach out to you, that there were some upcoming meetings, but gave no other, how often, where, how long,
Yeah,
who.
so I'll reach back out.
Okay. All right. Next up is the discussion regarding the issues that we've been having with hybrid meetings. Unfortunately, we had an issue during Coffee Talk, and then we had one this past Wednesday where Kristen was coming in, I was manning the machine, and similar to Coffee Talk.
Sorry. My phone doesn't make noise because I've been taking a lot of calls lately. But yeah.
Understandable.
Kristen was unable to be heard. Luckily, she was able to text me, and I did her questions, but I don't want to keep doing that because I don't want anybody to think that there's stuff going on the phone when you're in a meeting. So I know that Brittany had offered some temporary solutions, so figured we could just throw it out there and talk about them tonight.
My main issue with those temporary solutions is that they each have pros and cons. And the cons are the first one, which is a power cycle, the audio interface, every time we get the speaker error on Zoom, temporarily interrupts the audio feed. And that would take probably 2 to 3 times, she says, per meeting, depending on the meeting length, to restart this. So I just think that's disruptive. And then using the Zoom laptop in the room without connecting it to the system. The pro of that is that participants will still be able to see and hear the room feed as normal, but the audio and video being fed into the room would come from the laptop, not the ceiling speakers. So we would have to try to convey back and forth to this large room off of what's coming through this laptop here, neither of which I think are really viable solutions. I do know that she has the company coming out, HeCode, that installed the system. They have offered December 18th as a date. My recommendation would be to wait and see what the company diagnoses the issue as with the system. And then, you know, I mean, if the board does want to put one of these temporarily in place for the January 6th meeting, but there are just caveats with each one of them, so.
It's just this room that has the problem?
That's a good question. I don't know if they're having problems in 218 because I never meet in there.
Well, I mean, they record it, but no one ever.
Oh, they don't do hybrid, they don't
Hybrid.
usually do hybrid in there, that's what it is,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's really just this room?
There's a chance for a short time I could get an owl that is a better speaker and microphone and camera, so that if we're doing option 2, we could plug that in so that people could at least hear you in the room. And the camera would be a little bit, it'd be a little wonky. But I might be able to borrow one somewhere if it's for a short period of time. And so I'd wait to hear what they have to say on the 18th, which is only a couple days out. And because if they say it's fixed, you know, in 2 weeks,
Yeah.
deal with holidays, that's fine. If we had to go one more meeting, non-hybrid, we'll be okay. We survived non-hybrid meetings prior
For
to
years. Or
anything.
can they check 218 and maybe set up a mock meeting, and if that room's fine, maybe for the 6th that they're tinkering in here? I don't think any other group meets on Monday. Maybe we could just slide into 218 for a meeting.
Yeah, and that, I will definitely reach out to Brittany. I think with her thinking it's an issue with the equipment.
Okay.
I don't know how that impacts one room, both rooms, what have you, so let me ask her that. I just know that, like, I don't care that I wasn't heard, to be perfectly honest, it's
Right.
fine, but I know there are people that are upset that they can't be heard. So I just want to be,
Yep.
you know, upfront and respectful of that. And, you know, if we're going to have a meeting where there's a chance that people might not get heard and they would have otherwise shown up
Yep.
perhaps in person,
Yep.
I don't want to cause any problems there.
I think we should clearly post meetings as not hybrid until such time as we definitely have this working.
Okay.
Yeah, and check on 218, because you never know who may need to
Yep.
go into that room to hold a meeting if we're in here, or somebody's in here. And I would just hate for someone who is capable of figuring out the issue, just to make sure that it's not it's not a room issue, that it's an overall equipment issue.
Okay.
And the TV audience did hear Kristen. If you were watching online.
Yep. That was the same with
Right.
Chris when she was
Yeah.
remote, is that the YouTube video picks it up and the other stuff, but it's just not, the speakers in here aren't
Picking it
sending
up.
it in.
Right.
Okay, all right, well, keep us posted, hopefully, they can diagnose it on Wednesday and say, oh, it's just a switch.
And is the board in agreement to not post hybrid meetings until we're sure that
Yep.
it's working?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, I just
Yep.
want to make sure. Okay.
All right, the 2025 licenses, we have quite a few
Yes.
of them, but to make life easier, we can do them in chunks. So like categories. So Dee was kind enough to put in a suggested motion for each section of
Mhm.
all pouring and alcohol. So Scott, if you want to roll with that, or Dee,
Yeah.
there anything that we need to know ahead of time, or are we just ready to go?
Right, I didn't see anything that showed that there's any problems with any of these businesses.
No,
They're all up on their sort of, taxes and permits and other stuff like that.
we had one that wasn't up on their taxes by no fault of their own. They didn't receive
Yep.
personal property bill, but they came in and took care of that.
Yep.
The rest of them are all set, and we have positive feedback. There's a couple inspections that still need to be made,
Right.
but that's why I asked
Yep.
for the contingent vote.
Yep.
Okay.
You really can't just do like the whole page and see everything listed, huh?
No, we're gonna
Uh,
do chunks. So like all pouring
So the
license.
all pouring licenses, we have, looks like 6 all pouring places. These are sort of restaurants, I think, where you would go in to get your alcohol. And so I move that the board approve the licenses as listed on the agenda, contingent upon payment of licenses, fees, approving all approvals, inspections, and providing all documentation requested.
I will second that. If I already had discussion,
Yep.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Package
We gotta test people
stores.
at some point if they can come up with a list. What is the 6 businesses that you can go and
That's
have
right.
alcohol at the site?
All right, so package stores,
Package
there are
store.
4.
There are 4 package stores in the town. And I move the board approve the licenses as listed in the agenda, contingent upon payment of the license, obtaining all approvals and inspections, and providing all documentation requested.
I will second it. All those
Those are
in favor?
actually package stores that sell all alcohol.
That sell all
All
alcohol. Right,
alcohol.
Right, so they sell both spirits and hard liquor. And 1, 2,
4?
yeah. No, I was trying to think of how many that I've actually spent money at in the last year.
I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, package stores, Walt.
Walt. How about
Walt.
wine and malt only?
That would be
Which is-
correct.
Why
I-
can't it just be wine and beer only? I'm sure there's something else out there that's.
That's right. Wine and
I
malt.
think that's the like hard seltzers
Yeah,
and.
hard
other
cider or
stuff.
something, yep.
Again, trying to say that without actually coming up with a brand name that I'm pumping. So there are 3 of those in town. And I move the board approve the licenses as listed on the agenda, contingent upon the payment of licenses, obtaining all approvals and inspections, and providing all requested or required documentation.
All right, I will second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Common victular. There's quite a few of those.
There is a bunch of those. And one day I'm gonna look up what the real definition of vehicular, because I think of vehicle when I did that, but it's not. But this is the ability to sell things, and now looks like restaurants, food.
It's to serve, prepare, serve, and allow for consumption on premises.
Ah,
All right.
so prepare, serve, or consumption on premises of food, several of which also serve beer and wine, as we said earlier. And did you do the count while I was doing that?
15.
15. There are 15 places in Berlin where you can go and get food. I encourage everyone to go to all 15 of them every year.
There you go.
Realize that when you go to those places, the meals tax that you pay on your bill comes to the town of Berlin. And so
does.
if you want to help your property taxes bills, go out to eat. But, I move that the board approve all licenses listed on the agenda, and as assuming they all approve, I lost the place there. Assuming they approve all approvals, they get all approvals, inspections, and provided appropriate documentation, and pay for the license fees.
I will second, and all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, entertainment license,
Some of them are new, too, in the last one.
6.
6 entertainment licenses. This, of course, I think allows you to like play music, or have a television going, or something in your place of business.
Or it could be live entertainment as
Or
well.
live entertainment, yes. Although I thought several of them weren't live, but anyway.
You're correct.
So I move the board approve the licenses as listed in the agenda, contingent upon the payment of licenses, obtaining all approvals and inspection, and providing appropriate documentation under entertainment licenses.
All right, I will second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, Sunday entertainment license.
Or it's the same 6, isn't it?
Yes.
Those people who do entertainment are also allowed to do so on Sundays because of fun
Laws.
Massachusetts antiquated laws. You need one for 6 days a week, but a different license for the 7th day of the week.
Correct.
And we give those same 6 places the same license. I'm going to move the board approve the licenses listed in the agenda under Sunday entertainment licenses, contingent upon payment of license, obtaining all approvals and inspections, and providing all appropriate documentation.
I will second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Automatic,
I wonder if anywhere in the state someone has a license to do entertainment on, but doesn't have a Sunday license. Like they're silent, they turn off the televisions on Sunday, or don't have the
Oh.
radio playing in the background.
there might be some food places.
Yeah, that might be otherwise closed, like they're closed, that's
Yeah.
why they don't go
Yeah.
for it.
All right, automatic amusement licenses, there are only 2, and one of them is not your select board. just saying. Mm-hmm.
Do we know that the first one that Acton Bulk Distributors really is in the town of Berlin?
We have licensed them.
Right.
repeatedly.
Okay.
They're at the mall.
I thought they moved their entertainment stuff over to the Marlboro side because we kept
Oh.
harassing them about licenses and license fees.
Oh, it
and
did move.
Personal property and, right, it did move.
It did
yeah,
move.
yeah.
Okay, let me double check that, and we're covered because we're voting contingent.
Right, we're voting contingent, and if they don't need one, again, when I look at some things, what's the least wrong answer? The least wrong answer is approving contingent license and having them not need it, then having them have to come back and for some stupid reason have to close for 3 days. And but anyway, automatic amusement licenses. There are 2 of them, so I move the board approve the licenses as listed in the agenda, contingent upon payment of licenses, obtaining all approvals, inspections, and providing all requested documentation.
I will second, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Class 1 license, only one.
So I did, that was automated amusement license. I think we still need to do public amusement license unless I was
No.
able to cover them both.
Sorry, no, we need public. Public amusement license, also 3.
What does Kubota do that requires an amusement license? Because we can watch them like bake the food, it's entertainment?
No, and I can't quite remember, but they do have a license.
I'm trying to think anytime I'm in there, I don't remember seeing,
Is it recorded music?
No,
No, that would
there's
be
not a
automatic.
video game type thing in that place.
I don't think they have a TV.
No, because they have
Yeah.
the entertainment license earlier, so they can play a radio.
Oh.
Their soda machine requires, that's because you can choose your own soda, that's an
I
entertainment.
wonder if that's a cut and paste error. I will double check that right now.
Okay? All right?
Anyway, I was the Solomon Pond Mall, the Regal Cinema does, and the other one we thought moved out of the, anyway. But I will do the motion, the public amusement license. I move the board approve the licenses as listed in the agenda contingent upon payment of the licenses, obtaining all approvals, inspections, and providing all appropriate documentation.
All right, I will second, and all those in favor?
Aye.
We only have 3 more to go.
I know, this is probably why Chris
Mhm.
didn't
There you
show
go.
today. She just saw this fun coming to us here.
Class 1 license?
Class 1 license. And can you tell, what does a Class 1 allow you to do?
Sell new vehicles.
Sell new vehicles.
Yes.
And if you're trying to figure out where in Berlin you're selling new vehicles, Cabela's, because of the sort of multi-purpose,
and-
and their boats and other stuff,
ATVs.
they're the ones. And so I move the board approve the Class 1 license for, officially it is TMBC LLC, which is doing business as Cabela's. Contingent upon them paying the license fees, approving all the approvals, inspections, and documentation.
I will second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Uh,
I want to do the next 2 together. So
That's
class.
what I'm thinking. Well, no,
Cla-
they're different addresses.
Oh, you're right, the first 2 words are the same, the last word is
That's
different.
right.
Mhm.
Class 2 license, which is used vehicles
Yes,
sales.
correct.
Sales, right. So I move that the board approve the Class 2 license for Berlin Auto Service at 51 West Street, contingent upon them paying their license fees, obtaining the approvals, inspections, and providing all requested documentation.
I will second. All those in favor?
Aye.
And the last one,
The last one is Berlin Auto Parts for a Class 3 license, which I think is a scrap dealer
Mhm.
license.
It's, yeah.
Yeah. That we actually in July have,
These two is a
very
junk
people do
license,
site
and this
visits.
That is
for-
correct.
You can pull cars
and,
apart,
Ah.
I know,
we sell
yeah.
the parts.
Right.
Got it.
Then this other one that we do in the spring or the summer
Right.
is for junk, for
Okay,
junk.
so this is just allowing them to rip apart cars and sell car parts. So Class 1 is new vehicles, Class 2 is used vehicles, and Class 3 is parts of used vehicles. Anyway, I move the board approve the Class 3 license for Berlin Auto Parts, contingent upon payment of license, obtaining all approvals, inspections, and providing all appropriate documentation.
I will second, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Look at that, you just wiped out a bunch. We are on the last page of the agenda.
Yep.
Next one up is to talk about the 5th modification to the River Bridge Development Agreement.
This one's relatively simple. This is the 5th modification that was approved at town meeting, which extends the date for purchasing parcels 6A and 6B out by 2 years to December 31st, 2026, to allow time to address the conservation restriction matters, and makes it clear that until closing on the property, we do not receive the rents from Boundless Adventures, which I know everyone loves, but that is the case.
They get away with all kinds of things, but to change it is too messy. So I mean, this was what was passed at town meeting.
It was.
This
Yep.
requires us to vote on. I would so move.
I will second. No other discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. So, do we need to sign anything?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
printing them now.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
That's my fault.
And one of the other items is to talk about the modifications to 1870 committee charge, which was a late ad on yesterday.
Yes, Friday. Was
Date
it
says
Friday?
yesterday, 12:15.
I'm glad I know my dates. Anyhow, this was a item, somehow it got deleted off of the agenda, so I had to put it back on as an amendment. The 1870 committee has come forward a few times, and we've been discussing how they want to proceed as a committee now that they've been together for 4 months. They are asking they took a really hard look at the job description for the manager position, which is far more detailed and not what we actually did. We have a manager who schedules the events, but obviously there's marketing, there's, dealing with the building itself, all of those things that are not getting done right now. Also, right now, we don't have a huge revenue generation coming in, so there's a cash flow issue. So what they're asking is to do the work pro bono or for free right now on a volunteer basis to save up some revenue for the manager position. They want to do it on a trial basis for 3 months and handle the handle the scheduling, the bookings, as well as running the 1870 itself with the repairs functions that need to be done, the marketing, the website, the financial management, which right now we've been doing in-house here. And they're asking, because this is how they did it the last time they were up and running 10 years ago. I told them that is a change in policy direction from what the board voted the committee to originally do. So I needed to bring that forward to you all for further discussion. And I believe they were going to try to make it here tonight. We went through the agenda so quickly. I'm not sure that they were able. Evie did say for me to send her a message, but they will come back at the beginning of January if there were questions that I'm not able to answer. Let me just send Evie a quick text too to see if she's available.
Yeah, I don't know what's stopping them from doing it now. I think we have a manager of the building. I think that manager is allowed to delegate any part of their job responsibility to volunteers.
So they're asking to take over that entire job function as a volunteer to
so that
save
we
some
would-
money.
So that we would lay off an existing town employee.
So it wouldn't specifically be a layoff per se. There's been conversations that have been had at the personnel level about interest in taking on those additional responsibilities. There is not an interest there. And there is potentially some scheduling issues, just with timing and everything going on with them as well.
So now I'm lost. We have an employee.
Yep.
And we're going to give all their responsibilities to some volunteers. What is that employee going to do?
So we would no longer have that employee. That employee is not interested in taking on some of the additional responsibilities that the committee is asking for, so they would be willing to back away.
I'm still very lost. You take over while I try to figure out how to get unlost.
My only concerns with the committee is that we need to have a clear set of expectations as to what they're going to do, what they're going to be able to sign. We've run into a few kerfuffles where there has been unknown Mass General Law items that things were signed, done, that maybe perhaps should not have, that weren't followed through.
Yeah.
So I would like to see a list of expectations. Obviously, I don't want us to play helicopter parent, but I also want a clear line to say, you know, it is within your responsibility, pick a word, that you're going to bop, 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 bop. It is also under the purview of the select board / town administrator that we will sign, you know, your items, that we're not unexpectedly just going to get a bill because someone said, oh, look, we need to paint the wall. You know, here's a bill for $5,000. I see this as I commend the people who want to do the volunteer, but there is also a very strong delineation that needs to happen, that the town hall is a public municipal building.
Yeah.
There are guidelines, policies, procedures, things that need to be followed, that if you own a building, you kind of sort of don't have to follow them.
Right.
But those types of items need to be made loud and clear so that we're not getting into the, well, I didn't know, oh, well, I thought you understood. Yeah, I really didn't, so I just went ahead and did this, and so sad, too bad, here, you gotta do it. That's my concern, is that there needs to be that. Case in point, the finance policy for
Yeah.
when people come and rent the space there, that there is an understanding and a knowledge that there's no Venmo. It doesn't go into a personal bank account. You don't sit on it for 85 months and then drop it off with no reconciliation. That needs to be part of it too, that you get it, it's dropped off within a week, you know, here's the policy that you follow. That's my only concern, that I don't, not saying that the committee would go rogue, but to protect the town, there needs to be certain items, in my opinion, in place.
So they really feel that this work takes at least 15 hours a week. The person currently in the position does not have the capacity to increase their hours. So they're willing to do the whole thing on a volunteer basis.
Although everything you listed is in the job description.
But
And I get
yeah.
that the person doesn't have enough time, that is true. But I think it is that the person in that position, without needing to come to the select board, could delegate to volunteers to do pieces of that job. I mean, my argument is generally, I don't think this is where, I don't understand why this needed to come to us. There's jobs that need to get done. There's not enough time to get them done. There are volunteers who want to get them done. It's not select board worthy to me.
Okay.
Volunteers can do jobs they want. If a person doesn't want to work for the town because, you know, the job is not doable, that's definitely at some point we need to work with the personnel committee, but that person can decide that whether or not they want to work for the town of Berlin is totally independent conversation, I think.
I think, I'm sorry.
And so again, I don't get what we're being asked to do.
So I think my concern is that this is going in a different direction than not only what the committee was reestablished to do, but also what we've been trying to do, which is we've been trying to establish employees to work with boards and committees, and this is sort of undoing that. And that speaks to Peg's concern
Right.
about financial policies and making sure that those are adhered to. Is we're having a volunteer group that's saying, let us independently operate the building without staff or employees to do it. And so my concern was immediately the same one that Peg had about, well, we've had issues with turnovers and people not depositing checks for months, and how do we do that? They
Yeah.
showed me some binders of how organized it was
Right.
10 years ago, and
I also don't get that why a group of volunteers wouldn't want staffing to help them out. Like, the whole scenario doesn't sound good to me, that a group of volunteers don't want to work with staff, and staff doesn't want to delegate to volunteers. Sounds like a bigger administration problem that I don't want to, like, go over as a, I don't understand it. Why the number of committees we have in this town who are begging us to give them more staffing, that a committee would say, we don't want staffing, just boggles my mind. And to be clear, that employee doesn't report to that committee, that employee
Correct.
reports to you.
Yep.
And so I think it is worthy of more digging because I don't want to air too much here about if a volunteer committee and a paid employee don't get along well, then there's probably other ways of doing it than as a policy discussion. I think there should still be staff. I don't get why we wouldn't staff it. I agree.
I mean, I know the original job description that Margaret had put in place was a little bit broader in scope, and that was the 15 hours, but unfortunately, I think it shrunk drastically to just, hey, can you schedule? Not, can you market, can you look for other groups, but it was
Right.
truly, hi, Scott, I need the building on Saturday. Okay, it's free, I need a check for $20. All right, thank you.
She took over right as COVID was ending.
Yeah,
She
Yeah.
was totally,
Yeah.
the new director
Yeah.
came in more or less as a,
yeah.
Capital,
we-
let's
stop
save
gap.
your butt.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, right, because sort of COVID happened, it was clear the building wasn't going to be used during COVID, we had no idea when the building was going to be used, there was no sense in having someone whose job it is to market and fill the building when society wasn't doing that type of things at that point in time. But we have a job description that's Personnel Committee approved and Select Board approved from 2020 in front of that was in the folder,
Yes.
that I think lists all the things you just said the committee wants to do. Now, it could be, again, we found someone who only wants to do a piece of the job that is
Right.
there.
Are you recommending that we look for someone and put them in the spot? Because this is only 3 months, I don't want to agree to something forever and ever and ever until I kind of sort of see how it's working, potentially not working, things we've stepped in that we shouldn't have stepped in, et cetera.
They asked for it to go up to a 15-hour hour-a-week position, which we don't have the funding for.
Uh-uh.
So they said, let us demonstrate the need, let us document and demonstrate and get the data over a 3-month period, bring in some revenue, and then make the case for this being able to be a self-funded position at 15 hours a week. Because right now, it's not self-funded. We can't self-fund it at 15 hours a week.
And it never has been. Unfortunately, that building has truly never been absolutely 100% self-sustaining.
I think it was getting close in 2019.
And then the world.
And then the world, the 2019, that had more
Yeah.
renting in it than it was. Even when I was on FinCom, it was covering at least its hard cost, maybe not its
Yeah.
its operating costs, maybe not its capital cost, but it was at least covering all the operating costs while I was on FinCom.
I believe it's never covered the the cost of the building, the electric costs, the fuel, those.
When I was in FinCom, they were covering those, because we weren't putting extra money in the
No,
budget
because
for
we
that.
had to take it away and put it back in the municipal building before COVID. Fuel oil we took back over, the electricity, it got taken back over by the town. It was pretty much just payroll, and even then we were whittling away at what was there.
So we cover payroll right now, and I believe there's a
Phone.
pest control bill. No, the phone we moved into facilities as well,
Oh, okay.
because we now have a facilities
Yeah.
budget.
Well, but it's also part of a townwide phone system. It's not as easy to segregate out that cost as it used to be when it was a phone line sitting in the building.
So is this something that we want to think on and ponder and wait, and perhaps wait until they're available on the 6th to come back and have a chat with us? What would you like to do there, Mr. Scott?
I still don't know why what we want to do is not doable with what we want, that there is a bunch of volunteers and there's an employee that will help assist. I don't get why it just doesn't just happen. Like, they don't want any assistance. The volunteers don't want any staff.
Right now, they want to try it on their own, build up the case for the 15 hours, and then potentially, after the 3 months, be able to post for a
And that they
15-hour
don't have more
position.
resources if they have a staff person help them out. That having a staff person is a drain on their ability to accomplish that goal. That's the part I can't fathom. You have a bucket this big.
Yeah.
And you want to get things done, and you want this bucket, but not this bucket. Like, more resources is always better.
I think the segregation of duties is a challenge because there's overlap, and I think that, being able to take the full picture and document the information of what's happening would, in their minds, would be easier,
Right.
based on what they've told me.
And you don't think it's possible for you working with them and the staff to find a segregation that makes everybody happy?
We have actually been talking about that for the past couple of months. I can certainly continue to have those conversations and see if we can come up with a better plan. I'm happy to do that.
I mean, I think maybe we should wait, because obviously,
Yep.
Scott, this is the first time that you're really kind of hearing this and trying to pluck through it.
It's fair
and it'll be,
questions.
yeah, it's gonna be filled with questions that we kind of sort of maybe not really know the answer to, that I don't think until that committee sits in front of us and we can ask them questions, that we're not truly going to have the entire picture. I mean, if they're coming on the 6th anyways, do you just want to move the item? I can
already
see your hesitation.
Well, my only hesitation is that we pushed a lot onto the 6th. And I'm trying to figure out what information would help me make a better decision on the 6th.
Actually, there's not a lot. I mean, it's,
Are we having police and fire come back on the 6th? Are we gonna be talking about some more buildings on the 6th? We're opening the warrant on the 6th, but that's a 2-second thing.
correct.
Mhm.
There's,
That's fine, we can do it on the 6th.
all right,
And let me have some more
Uh,
conversations in between now and then.
I'll try to see if I can organize my thoughts better about why somehow a bigger bucket doesn't get us a better result.
Let me think on it as well.
all right. I'm gonna plop it on there as a placeholder, so we don't forget. All right, I've updated the 6th. All right, next up are any types of questions or updates. Scott?
I don't have any.
All right, I'll go quick. Just came out of rec before this meeting, they're moving along. I know they mentioned, Kristen, that they met with you in regard to the playground equipment, be working with Bob Holmes on the RFP, talking to some other folks about the field renovation, that they are going to do some forward thinking, realize, hey, if we put this in, don't put a tree here. Hey, if we want a walking path, hey, don't put that here. The interagency agreement I dropped off. They're still looking and determining whether to go revised director or potentially admin slash type person. They're not gonna meet again until January. They'll talk. I suggested to them that after they do that, that perhaps they go to personnel for some more guidance on that. And the MyRec training is in process, but probably really not kicking off until end of January. Concom, they're busy with a lot of stuff. CSX, no issues. There was discussion in regard to a pavilion in memoriam to Barbara Crackart, so they'll figure where that one is. They're talking about trail maintenance up on Brewer Brook. They're still working on the conservation restriction for Powder House Hill, and have been talking with Tohoto about some internship possibilities. The one thing that I do want to bring up that obviously is not on the agenda, but I don't want to forget about it. I was approached yesterday, and I'm going to pull out my phone and show Scott. You know the signs when you come into a town that says, hey, home of blah, 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 champion. They want to have those in Berlin, on the intersections like coming in from Clinton, Hudson, Northborough. They are 18 by 24. There would be 4 of them, no cost to us. They will be donated, something similar to,
Yeah.
home of
Yeah.
blah, 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 champions. I told the person I wasn't sure of the process. I didn't know who needed to be involved, what bylaws, sign bylaws, talking to Fred that they're back far enough so the plow doesn't take them out, etc. They're only on one side. So I just wanted to bring it up, and then we'll plop it on the agenda for
Yeah.
next
So
week.
I believe when we did the welcome to Berlin sign that the
Yep.
Solomon Pall Mall was in the back, they started with planning, was it zoning? Sorry.
I don't know.
Trying to remember, and I'm drawing a blank.
I don't know.
Let me look into it and
Yeah.
I can.
Because
yeah.
it's really just a post and a sign. It's not like the big gigantic thing that
Right.
Solomon Pond has.
That was a large one, but
Yeah.
you know what, let me start with Rich, because he's the zoning enforcement officer, and he would handle a sign bylaw to see if there's anything in the sign bylaw that would require sign off and approval.
All right, I will send these two examples to you.
Okay.
I thought we learned when the schools were trying to put up signs that at the end of the day, if it's a one related to government, that we have the final say on it. Other people are allowed to have their opinions, but that was
Yeah.
the school board and others came to us saying that they all decided at the end of the day that if it's a government-related one.
Is this when we were talking about the LED sign?
Yes, that we were reluctant to go against all of their recommendations, so we didn't overrule all of them, but. it
Okay.
did- So they probably have to start there, but
Okay. All right, Kristen, I just forwarded you the sample signs.
Okay,
So
thank you.
that you can share with Mr. Hanks.
Perfect.
And I will get back to the gentleman who reached out to me and tell him more to come. I don't know about time frame. They're probably looking as soon as possible, to get them up. All right, that's all I got. So we do have a need for executive session. The board will enter into an executive session under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Exception 2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel. The town administrator, we will come back only to adjourn the meeting. All right.